We're back. We're here again.
I'll do a little bit, then I'll throw it to you.
Why don't?
I'll just do a little bit and I'll throw it to you.
Yeah, we're back again. Keith had a baby. Ryan's dead. What about this?
I mean, he's doing a funeral.
Yeah, he's doing a funeral in who knows where, some other state. But we're here again. Use that. You're gonna want that.
I like it. No, that's perfect. It's cool.
Super like.
Keep it in.
I love it.
Wait, are you actually recording?
It's recording now,
Keith,
so
I
whenever
did it.
you're ready to go.
So the topic today, that after the whole thing with the baby, there's a whole story there which we can get into at the end if we want to. I was hanging out with Travis for the first time in a while, and we got on the topic of athletics and athleticism, and so we had this discussion where we basically ignored everybody in the room for 2 hours about athletics and athleticism and sports and like what athleticism really is and who is the most athletic of sort of in all of the major sports. So Travis, explain sort of what your take on it was, and then we'll go from there.
So the question is,
Wait, real quick. My question to you guys is, when you guys are in a room full of people and talking to each other, does it seem like you're the only two people in the room?
Anytime I stare into Travis's eyes, it seems like he's the only people in the room.
Nobody else exists but
Well, you know what's funny that you're saying that is I was in that room. I had no idea that was the conversation that was happening.
You weren't in that room. That was the one where we sent you the picture and you said, I guess I have to have a baby to be in the podcast.
yeah, this was an aggressive conversation.
Never mind, I wasn't.
Oh,
in the
yeah,
room.
we're-
I thought it was in the waiting room
No, it was
when you guys were talking and Ryan and I were talking with your mom and dad.
When was that?
When you had a
Oh, I remember. Which
Yeah.
yeah. Waiting room.
The only time we came.
The hospital waiting room.
Yeah.
I forgot. Sorry.
So the question is who or what group of athletes, so say baseball players, football players, hockey players, soccer players, basketball players, probably kind of the main sports. We're not necessarily leaving out, but when you look at like team sports
like
for the
more
most
team
part,
sports and
is
stuff, yeah.
which group of athletes collectively probably have the most raw talent. They can actually step into your field and perform
At least decent.
perform better than you can perform in their sport. So the idea is who would do better in each other's sport. Right. That is kind of the thing, and it all comes from that. I think baseball players are the best athletes. But baseball's not my favorite sport. Yes, I played it growing up, but basketball, soccer, far more interested in that. Boxing, those are like my tennis, even like baseball's way down here. So it's not this whole like attachment to self as much as I think that baseball players collectively, if they're gonna go play pickup basketball, if they're gonna go play pickup like a Thanksgiving Day football game, or they're gonna go try and play soccer with a bunch of guys, they're going to go, oh man, everyone's gonna go, man, that guy's a good athlete. And we'll get into, because Keith brings up a bunch of good points about special positions, and that's not what I'm talking about so much, but that is part of the conversation. But collectively it's not even about speed for me, which we can get into. It's not about like I can jump higher than you, but it's on the basketball court. You're gonna go, oh, that guy's. You might say something like that guy's an athlete.
That's it.
Right.
So go for it.
Well, it's funny when you first brought up the topic. My initial thought was, because all that had been presented to me was like, who's the most athletic?
Yes.
And so I did some research and I was reading some different things, and the one I came up with was gymnasts. Gymnastics.
They're not in the running.
So we're gonna have to make some distinctions in a minute, but go for it. Yeah.
But I mean, I saw that and I was like, nobody can do what gymnasts do.
Yes, exactly.
And so I would just like to put that out there, and now we can move on.
Yeah.
So I think
that was what I had originally thought.
That's why I don't even bring in golf right now.
Right.
You don't
Travis,
bring in...
what you bring up is a good point. The idea is, I think we have to make a separation between athletes and athleticism, because I think those are two different things. I think that's where we were when we had this discussion before is what we're talking about. So I think one of the reasons I would still not fully disagree with you, but disagree with you on one level is that I do think, because baseball is such a harder sport to master, that and that things like basketball and football are not easy. I don't want to say like they're easy, but
Yeah,
of the ones that we're talking
The
about,
concept is similar.
right? It's a little bit more intuitive physically, right? So if you are athletic, it's easier to pick up basketball than it is to have to spend the time to get good at baseball. So I think because baseball is a little, not the positions, but just in general,
Yes.
baseball's a little more specialized. I think that puts other sports at an unfair advantage if you're comparing it with things like baseball, soccer, hockey, basketball, football.
Absolutely.
So I think, but if you're talking about pure athlete, like just that phrase, that guy's an athlete. Yeah, that could make sense. I think if
that almost to me though, when we get into that guy's in like pure athleticism in any sport, I almost kind of go, I personally couldn't nail down. Like there's this one sport where there's the most athletic dudes, right, or females. Those are the most, because there's, like you said, there's so many specialized positions.
Right, like look at like a lineman in football versus like a wide receiver.
Yeah, or even a quarterback.
Yeah.
Those guys, I would argue that the quarterback position is probably one of the most difficult and demanding positions in all of sports.
And I would say not just physically, but also mentally.
Well, yeah, like the most like pressure.
But that doesn't mean therefore they're the most athletic guy on the
that's
field.
True. And it's close to like a pitcher.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, it's also like look at you have a hockey player, someone like Drew Doughty, who in his rookie season they won a Stanley Cup final and he won a gold medal in the Olympics. But he's on skates, so you take the skates off, put him on a basketball court. The guy could be, he'd be super clumsy. We don't
like a church
we don't know. Yeah, you don't know.
But I would say
a shot, Chuck.
Yeah. But I would say one of the things with even hockey players that they have to be up there in like the top 2 or 3 of the 4 major sports because they do all the stuff that other sports do, but on skates.
And I think with skates, I go, they don't have to run. They can stop moving and they'll stop moving.
Have you ever tried to skate backwards?
Dude, did you know that? So, fun fact, did you know that my mom wanted me to be athletic hold on.
Did it not work?
Yeah, no, it didn't take. But she wanted me to be athletic when I was a homeschooler, so guess what I did?
Skate?
Figure skating.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that.
But I thought it was gonna be. I thought figure skating was like too sissy, so I did it in hockey skates.
It's totally cool, guys. It's a hockey skate.
Yeah.
Triple axel.
I'm still wearing spandex with these hockey skates.
So this is kind of to what I'm getting at is even you talk about conditioning. Okay, so conditioning doesn't mean athletic.
Right.
You have the conditioning of a hockey player or of a soccer player. I'm going to say is far more advanced than the football, basketball, baseball player because a hockey player can only play. Obviously, you would say how long can you play without the ice? It's freezing. There's something about the being in that cold arena. They can only even skate. So they're conditioning so
right. Yeah, your body gets used to something. Like the one thing with hockey players though is that like I don't know if I was talking to one of you guys about this, but like some of these players are in there for like 40 minutes out of the 60 minutes that the game goes, and so you have very few breaks in hockey. Like a play can last anywhere from 30 seconds to like 5 minutes or longer. So that's
so their conditioning is absolutely incredible, and you would say, of course, they're far more conditioned than a baseball player. And that's not, and so like the terms are, if you will, is you get into all these different things and you just go raw athleticism collectively. And I think to Keith's point is, or I'm going to use your point is it's such a it's a very skilled sport.
Baseball, yes.
In that every kid could, and you even think about you need sports where you need other people.
Right.
You need other people with hockey if you want to play a game, but even basketball, you could go work on your skills by yourself.
Right.
It's just that balls are rolling at, you know what I mean?
No, I get that. Like you're saying, like even as far as conditioning and things like that goes, you go like even like take 2 best from like baseball and football, and you go, chances are like OBJ is way more conditioned than Mike Trout. Which I would maybe argue that.
I don't know about Mike Trout
because so here's what I'm getting at.
It may not be the best person to choose.
Yeah, because he is a 20-year-old like rookie of the year.
Because he does it a lot on his own. Like, but that's self-initiated.
But Odell's like the same age.
Yeah, I know. But I would say like if you take those guys, they're probably, and we could probably even
and I think
look
Trout played.
at all that.
I think Trout did play football.
So you like took the best. It's like,
Yeah.
like
that's what I'm saying. I'm taking like two of the best.
But see,
Yeah.
we ran into that problem. We kept running into that problem, and I think this is what we do have to make sure that we say is that if you take the best athletes of any sport, you're gonna run into the problem that they're all just as good as each other.
Yeah, like because you
they've
go
all just
Odell.
chosen- they've all just chosen the sport that it's their
Right.
favorite. They couldn't have played any of them.
Here's my rub with baseball.
Okay,
Here's my rub. Is
you don't like it.
no, it's not that I don't like it. I like baseball. Fine, I'll just go eat a hot dog. You know?
I think you like hot dogs.
That may be it. But here's what I see. I see players from other sports migrating to baseball more than any other sports. Does that make sense?
Whoa.
Like
Michael Jordan never did that.
But I see like players
Successfully.
players from like the NFL migrating to baseball. Who was it? Deion Sanders.
Bo Jackson was a baseball player who decided.
I didn't say Bo Jackson.
I know, but I'm gonna say you don't because you got Deion Sanders and Bo Jackson who played. They were like, if there's anybody else, they're dual sport. But Bo Jackson was like
the
his
best
whole
athlete in history.
yeah, and he was a baseball player who denied the NFL and then went and played for fun. Is that 30 for 30? And he goes, practice. Like he's like practice. Like, are you kidding me?
But then you have like, but it seems like when dual sports come into play, that somebody was also good at baseball.
Well,
so
is it that the baseball player? Is it that, to your point, is it that it wasn't because they were such a good foot? It's because the baseball player is such a great athlete or raw talent that they could go and play that sport.
I watched an interview with this guy Eric Decker. He's a receiver. Used to be on the Broncos. He's on like the Titans or something now. But he went and hit. He played like baseball. I think like back in the day. And then went and played football. But it was him, and he went and hit like batting practice with the Rockies, and was hitting home runs.
Batting practice is different.
So hold on. And so then they were talking with a baseball player. They were talking with the baseball players that he was playing with, and they said, "Do you think that Eric could transfer to baseball easier, or do you think you could transfer to football easier?" And they said, "Oh, I think Eric could transfer to baseball easier."
But okay, so
one,
I think that might just be. This is where we run into the problem of individual examples. Is that he just may be a better athlete than the guys they had talked to. So those two guys just may not be good enough athletes to go play football. But the other question I want to bring up, and I think this is part of
that's kind of the point, right?
Not necessarily.
No. Yeah.
One of the things I want to talk about, and this is to your point with baseball, is Travis, is why do you think? Let me phrase it that. Is it more? Would we maybe say that it's more of a cultural issue at this point, because baseball is one of the earliest sports that American athletes are put into?
I was about to
because it is considered the national pastime.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So that's your question.
Yeah.
Well, you bring up Eric Decker, and again, like what he's saying is when you take outliers,
Right.
and you kind of go, okay, you're also assuming a lot. So until we know, and this is my point too, is if he was a good base player, he's a good base player, and you never kind of lose it riding a bike, you can always get back on.
Sure.
And so that's kind of who he is, but he also was a great football player.
Right.
My thing is also, which if you go backwards, instead of going, look, they could just play baseball, you're like, or that baseball player is they're so raw that they can go, we see it different, and for whatever reason, because I think, to your point when you bring up like an Odell, because they have opportunity to do these crazy things, but what you forget is every outfielder that is in the MLB is making crazy catches. In fact, I wasn't going to get into this yet. In fact, they're making far more difficult catches. And here's why. Because you have a quarterback and an entire team that sets a specific play.
Right.
And so, yes, there's room for error, and yes, it's one of the most difficult things to do.
And you have defenders.
However, you have a 80 to 90 something mile an hour fastball or whatever being thrown from 60 feet, and you have a guy that's standing up there with a wooden bat,
right?
And it's like, I don't know, whatever fractions of seconds that he has to make a decision. It becomes an internalized, intuitive thing, or whatever you want to say.
Right.
But off the crack of a bat, you have a guy like Mike Trout that is at a dead stop. He's sitting at a dead stop. He's guessing, he's hoping, or he's going, this might come to me, kind of.
Right.
And so I'm Odell. I know that he's going to throw it in this area. At least I know that. You have Mike Trout dead stop. So now the ball's going, I don't know how much faster it's going off the crack of a bat, because it goes boom, it goes from 80 miles an hour to this swing that is how much torque is in that. It comes off the bat, it's a line drive. You don't know. So the third baseman's thinking the same thing. The first baseman's thinking the same thing. And to say, what is a more difficult thing to do?
But then I think about this.
Hold on.
I think about, what if Mike Trout did know that the ball was coming to his area, the outfield? But I'm saying just
okay, for hypothetical.
What if he was like, I know this ball's coming out here, but also there's a guy out here who doesn't want me to catch that ball.
Exactly. But I mean, that's like, are there unicorns?
So,
because that's never going to happen. That's not a thing.
This is the thing that we were talking about earlier. This is why I had a problem with the way you were defining it earlier, is that yes, you're right. That is a higher skill. But does that make them a better athlete?
This is the thing too, though. I think that we need to put a markers in place here. So like baseball, yes, it's more stamina, reaction time. Football is more brute strength. Hockey is stamina, and like all these sports have their own like things you need to be good at to play them well. But also at the same time, do you think that it has anything to do with the sports we're taught to play growing up? So like PE, like elementary school, we're taught to play baseball, softball,
basketball.
Football. Yeah, but
soccer,
football barely though. We're taught to play like flag football, but not like actual football.
Right. So you say that people that play football don't start till later?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
You're thinking like, if you start to break it down, like athletes in Australia don't play baseball; they play rugby and water polo.
Yeah.
So the point being is there more athletes in baseball? So let's even grant you that there are more athletes in baseball. Is that because in North America, generally North America,
sure,
that we just grow up playing baseball more than we grow up playing the other sports necessarily? That doesn't always happen, but
yes, maybe. Here's why. Because I played in the schools I went to. I played, and I would argue flag football is kind of irrelevant because you're still playing the game of football, and so hitting each other, that's a huge part of the game. Tackling, and that takes that takes an art. There's an art there. But I would say is, no, we grow up playing football, we grow up playing baseball, we grow up playing soccer and basketball. And yeah, region and where you are, in Southern California, are you in Kansas? Are you playing soccer? Probably not as much as the other sports. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
I feel like you're probably playing baseball.
You're probably playing baseball. But so whether I would even take a step further and just say, like, you can't fake athleticism. So you can't fake raw talent.
No.
You either are athletic or you are not. Okay. What I'm getting at is that it seems that collectively baseball players on a whole, because I'm not going to go, oh, dude, let's see a lineman do what Mike Trout can do. I'm not going to make that argument, right? What I'm going to say is, because linemen in and of themselves are very great athletes in what they do, or skilled. It's a very unique, I mean, those guys are quick, but they can't they're not going to run down the field and OBJ it, right?
Right.
And so what I'm getting at is
although for their size, you see them run the 40.
Exactly.
It's like crazy.
It's crazy, but that's like
Yeah.
a kind of almost a skill.
Right.
And so even in baseball, and we get into eye-hand coordination, and you get into hockey eye-hand coordination and footwork, is the footwork of a second baseman, the footwork of even a catcher. That's a more specialized position, a pitcher. But the footwork of an outfielder at a dead stop is absolutely incredible, and that takes, I would argue, not just a fundamentals. It's a raw athleticism that you can run down and dive, or these guys that are jumping over fences, catching a ball that is also this. They get one hand to do it, Yes, they have a glove, so we could argue, okay, we could cancel that out. And again, it's just collectively going, hey, a soccer player, I mean, their footwork, the dribbling with a ball,
right.
But if you throw them a bat, they're going to be like...
But again, that's a hard comparison because that's all foot to all hand.
Exactly.
Like, so I think
But I'm saying, hold on.
But I would disagree with you. Like, I think if you put a soccer ball in front of an average baseball player and said, put it in the top corner, I don't think they could do it.
It's not that. That's not what I'm saying. Because that's the specific.
But you're saying you couldn't, like a soccer player couldn't from a dead stop catch a fly ball. And I'm saying from a dead stop, from a free kick, they couldn't put it in the net.
No. I'm not saying that either one of them could just jump into. I'm saying collectively, if you just did a pickup game kind of, you went on the field or you went to play with them, right. Is that I don't expect the baseball player to just snipe it past the keeper. Nor I'm going, if soccer player can't chase down he could definitely chase it down. Yeah. Like so, but it's like if you throw them a basketball, they're like.
No, that's an interesting concept though, because do you think it has anything to do with the mental settings? So like you take a football player, a wide receiver or a running back, and you put them into like a 200 meter. They don't have a goal. There's nothing there for them. They're just running. Do you think that they would still have the same speed that they would have in like a football game?
Yeah, there was a guy that was like he was like a kick returner on like the Vikings or something like that. He was on the Olympic team.
Well, but that's what
for sprinting.
But
that's
also,
crazy.
I don't think like Usain Bolt would be a good wide receiver. Like just because he's fast, I think.
But then it's interesting because I follow a lot of like NFL players on Instagram and things like
that,
and I see them like playing like pickup basketball too.
Yeah.
These guys are doing like windmill dunks,
right,
and things like that.
Well, and that's why ultimately why I was saying before is that I think basketball takes the most raw athleticism. It doesn't make you the rawest athlete, the rawest talent athlete. I think basketball takes the most raw athleticism because it is a lot of it's. If you look at like what I consider the 5 criteria of athleticism, not athlete.
I'm kind of liking that we all 3 picked different sports.
I think it's speed, endurance, strength, hand-eye coordination, and I had a 5th one. Do you remember what my 5th one was?
Say speed, endurance,
strength, endurance, hand-eye coordination, and I feel like there was a 5th one.
I don't.
There may have been just those 4.
Moxie.
Well, actually, that's not a bad idea.
That's my number 1.
But so if it's those 4, I think basketball takes those 4 in greater quantities than any other individual.
But you said collectively on the the 5 players on the.
That's for athleticism.
Yeah.
I think because he was saying like how football players can go up and make windmill dunks and all that. Because while it is hard to do, dunking is hard to do. It is, I will admit, it's not as hard as the stuff baseball players do. It's not as hard as what hockey players do. It's not as hard as what some football players do.
But is it showing raw athleticism translate?
That's my deal is okay, cool, but I can take in each sport what Odell does with these all these guys one-handed catches.
I was just saying that's why I think basketball takes the most raw athleticism to play.
But would you say?
But that may be why, to your point, why a baseball player can pick it up easier.
I think I'd also like to define too. When I say football, I'm meaning skill positions. Yeah, like defensive backs and wide receivers and running backs.
Yeah,
and that's where we're coming from. Anyway, that's kind of where it comes from. Is again,
like, I know Peyton Manning's not gonna be like, he's gonna go to the NBA.
No, and that's why
that's true.
Part of the conversation too is it's almost a little bit more difficult to talk about this when it comes to the elite of athletes.
I know.
I almost kind of working with high schoolers.
You got to take the average.
Yeah, when you're working with high school students and being out there and playing sports with them, we play pickup soccer.
Right.
We play pickup basketball. We play pickup, and a lot of times these guys are inviting their buddies that play different sports, and it's not. It's not easy to get a soccer player out to play basketball. It's a lot, and even a basketball player to play soccer.
Do you know what this concept reminds me of? Cool Runnings. you had a bunch of sprinters becoming a bobsled team. I mean,
and so can that and that's the thing is can you transcend all fields?
So that's
it's
the
kind
episode
of
title.
So the interesting thing would be this:
John,
take the most skilled guys from each team, and if you took, for example, say you took the Denver Broncos, all of their wide receivers and all of their running backs and all of their corners and safeties and all those guys, not like their O-line.
Yes, gotcha.
And and then you took all of the Angels and you got all like, you know, their hitters and their outfielders and everybody was in good shape, and you went like this and switched.
Who would outperform each other?
Right.
Who would outperform each other?
I mean, it's also like a unicorn thing.
Well, but that's kind of part of the. That's really actually at the core of it.
That's what the core of Travis, what you're trying to do.
Yeah, because I'm not saying, hey, dude, let's see the Broncos play the Angels.
Right. Right.
No,
I mean, like if you transplanted, or I think would be like, or same thing, like if you took the Broncos and like the Lakers. And switch them.
Well, and this is to be clear, and just to make sure we're on the same page, is once you start, and I don't think this is what you're saying, but is once you start going like, all right, you bring your guys, and we're gonna play you in football, and then we're gonna play you in baseball. That's not even an argument. It's more like would the Broncos get up to bat? Are they gonna do better, if you will? Are they gonna be better
against a pro team?
Not even against a pro team,
or just in general.
So
if the Broncos were playing the Broncos.
So the idea, the idea is if like all the major sports, everybody bats. Okay.
Everybody fields. Yeah.
All the major sports, everybody does a layup. All the major sports, everybody shoots a goal in hockey.
Yeah.
All the major sports, everybody catches a pass.
Who
does better in all of them on average?
Yeah, so you go, okay, I'm gonna step into we'll go with the 5, right? Those 5 major sports.
So we know baseball players are gonna do better at batting, but who's the second? Which sport is second?
And what I'm saying,
which sport is second throughout all of them? And you're saying baseball would be second throughout all of them.
Yes, runner up to those.
I like that we just did that right now. That really painted a picture. And
so I was struggling. We're not talking about having them play full games against each other.
No. Just the fundamentals.
Something from it. Yeah.
All right.
For example, on a Sunday afternoon or whatever, I'll get a bunch of guys from local high schools around, Long Beach.
We could actually do this.
We can do this, and
sign up online.
And we'll play basketball. We'll play pickup basketball. There's guys there who play high school basketball.
Right.
There's guys there who play college basketball. But there's also guys that play football from around the area, soccer and baseball. And it seems that the guy, and it's not because I just know baseball guys, but a lot of times it's these baseball players that seem like, oh, did you? And a lot of them like, well, I played basketball growing up,
Right.
But it just seems even in high school sports, if a team was gonna say, hey, dude, our whole football team got sick from team dinner, who's gonna play this week? Be like, the baseball team. Like they wouldn't go the basketball team, the soccer team, the wrestling team. They'd go call the baseball guys.
Funny story about that.
I think it's
I don't know. I might have said the basketball team in that situation.
It depends on what you're talking about.
In the NHL, the Florida Panthers had their goalie got sick, and they needed someone to fill in. So they found one of the guys that does marketing is a catcher in baseball. So they put him in goalie gear, and he actually did really well.
See, and that would be my other question.
He just stepped in and played?
He just stepped in and played, yeah.
That's crazy.
It's not like
that's some rookie of the year.
Because they literally had 1 hour to find a goalie. And so this guy stepped up, and he actually played really well.
This is less a debate and more of like, I think, an interesting question. To your point, that's the exact situation. Which position in each sport do you think transferred? Like that person who plays that position could do better in other, like could like basically do what you just said. Like which positions?
Huh?
You see what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
Totally.
So like I think for baseball, I think center fielders probably better that can go to all of them, right?
Yeah, so
that's just my point. Like, so what position? Like,
so I'm not like blown away that
like point guard, center. That's
I'm not blown away that like an ex catcher
could play.
I would be more like if you were like, and this guy, dude, was a striker. So. But I would even. I think that's impressive. What I'm saying though is so you have a center fielder, a guy like Mike Trout's gonna get on, or LeBron James or Kobe. Like Kobe's unfair with soccer because Kobe played soccer,
right.
But we're not talking about that. Odell played soccer, so when you see him do that stuff, you're like, oh, he was like a soccer player. Mm-hmm. But to what your question, Keith, is I think you're gonna find that guys who can run the point,
right,
would probably be not that bad a second shortstop kind of guys. Your center field, your outfielders are going to be great receivers.
Right.
I mean, because they're doing they're stop and go, boom.
But then I think about like Mike Trout trying to like run a route like against Richard Sherman.
Yeah, he would do. That's what I'm saying.
I think he would
He
do
wouldn't
better.
do that bad.
I think he would do better. Well, I think he would do better than you would expect him to. It doesn't mean he'd be great at it.
No, that's the point. Is he would do better?
But
he
again,
would do better than Messi.
But Trout, yeah,
That's true.
But
Well,
Trout
Messi's
is
tiny.
But Trout is also a freak athlete.
Ronaldo.
But
I don't know, man. He's a stud.
His hands don't even move from his side.
But he's never had to.
I know
Are
exactly.
you talking about catching or just running the route? Because that's different.
But
I think he can do
speed wise, Ronaldo.
No, but also you think about Ronaldo and you see him play, he can cut really easily.
Exactly.
Like,
Right.
so he could do.
But I'm saying who would do better?
I forgot about Ronaldo. Hey, now I'm back.
Yeah. But here's my question, because like it doesn't surprise me that a catcher could be a good goalie. What would surprise me if Trout was a good goalie?
Yeah, well, impressive still.
Right.
Not
No, it is,
surprised.
But
I
you see what
would
I'm
not
saying?
be surprised if a guy like Mike Trout, with the guy is dripping with raw.
I would say the
athleticism.
average center fielder. I would be surprised if the average center fielder could be a good hockey goalie.
I would take a third baseman before a center
would too,
fielder.
but yeah,
but I would still say again I'm gonna probably not go with a center. I'm not gonna go. I'm not
But
gonna
see,
go with
that's-
the.
But that's also it's like. But I might go with the
That's
center.
specialized.
I might go with the center. I don't know.
First baseman.
Well, centers are tough. Yeah, first baseman.
No, because first
Right.
basemen tend to be center-like,
and a lot of footwork.
like the way in which they set
You gotta
up.
position yourself.
But there's not a whole lot of. It's not super dynamic.
Plus, they can reach.
Because you have like outfielders though, they have either they're catching the ball on the ground or they're catching it up here. There's nothing like rarely does it come
Right,
out
that's why.
lateral
But like,
straight
I
in front.
think Travis is right. A third baseman would be good at.
Yeah,
better at.
Oh yeah,
goalie
because
than
it's.
you'd
I mean,
expect,
it's
'cause
called
so
hotspot.
quick.
Yeah.
So if you look at it, so I want to back up though a little bit and just say just kind of because again we knew that this conversation was going to go a lot of different places, which that's why it's such a fun conversation.
Yeah.
But is because Kyle kind of was like, oh, I see is who can what type what sport of guy can jump.
The round robin
It's
makes sense.
Who are going to play the other four sports better?
It's essentially a decathlon of the major sports.
Yes.
Do you think a better test would be to take these athletes and put them into a sport they've never played and then be able to?
But that's that's the premise.
Ultimately, yes. If you took all
They would be going to a sport they've never played.
Let's take soccer, hockey, baseball, basketball, and let's have them all play rugby. Or rugby might be unfair because it's football, right? But let's have them play let's have them do an actual. Let's have them do like an actual decathlon. Well, it's like high jump, javelin, shot put, discus, all that sort of stuff.
Sure.
Because that does test all of the major athleticism,
That's a different conversation.
No, but I think that would be similar because I think you're right. There would be some like the shot put, like obviously an O lineman is going to be better at a shot put than like your average baseball player.
Because there's more than just being big. We're getting off trail.
What I'm saying is that there's going to be one person that will shine, like one person from each sport that will shine. But it's you don't win the decathlon by winning all the events. You win the decathlon by getting in the top 3 in all the events.
Yes. So what I'm getting at is simply put is okay. So today, the baseball player is going to go. He's going to go play the other 4 sports. Okay.
Okay.
And that's everybody else's sport. And then the soccer player is going to come in and he's going to play the other 4 sports.
Okay.
And I'm arguing that baseball players collectively are going to outperform. They're going to be better, if you will, at those 4 sports.
On average.
Yes, on average,
we
right?
have to make sure because outliers are not going to matter.
We're not talking about outliers, but collectively, just the raw athleticism of a baseball player is going to be able. You're going to go. I want the baseball player to play with me, or if we just even argue like that, is all the other 4 sports. I would say, dude, if you're going to pick someone to step in to play with you today, pick. On average, right, the baseball player, because I'm arguing that they can step onto other people's arenas, pitches, fields, ice rinks, and do better than everybody else's sport. So the soccer player does it, then the football player does it, and then we say who performed the best in everybody else's sport.
I feel like we need to contact some people and try to
here's
figure this
question.
out.
Here's a question that I have for you. Why do you think the baseball player can do that? What about baseball allows them, and what about the other sports allows them to succeed in your
because you're right, they would obviously do well at baseball.
Right.
But I mean, what about the other three?
It's like, so what is it about being a baseball player? What is it that they have to be a baseball player that does transfer well to other sports? And as a second part is, what about the other sports are more universal that a baseball player could pick up?
Yeah, I think one, which won't really help, but just watching it over time, and I actually, growing up playing baseball, you don't just play baseball with those guys around the field, you play other sports with each other. And it seemed that like the performance, then even watching baseball players in the baseball team in high school, like pick up basketball and versus other sports kind of doing that. So whatever. But I think just at the core is what people don't realize about baseball is how athletic you have to be to.
But like, what about what?
Yes,
what do you mean
I'm
by
gonna get
athletic?
there.
Okay.
So how athletic you have to be to play the sport is the eye-hand coordination. And I already kind of talked about this, but just being at a dead stop off the crack of a bat, that takes great raw skill and athleticism to be able to go from a dead stop to going, this could go to the first baseman or over my left or right shoulder or right in front of me, and I got to be able to, I think it's their ability to not just react, but in the setting,
Right.
they are quick. They have, I mean, this is kind of funny, but rhythm. They have rhythm. Yeah. Like I grew up and my uncle said, if you play second base, you could dance.
Yeah.
Because he talks about the kind of the nature of that position and the ebb and flow, and you're sitting there and the movement and everything that's going on. I'm going to be honest with you. There's a point where I go, I actually can't really pinpoint like why, other than it seems that I've seen it.
I think those two things that you pointed at are interesting. So eye-hand coordination and quickness, or what we call explosiveness, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting.
To be able to barehand a ground ball.
Because I would agree with you that of those sports we're talking about, the two that have the highest hand-eye coordination are hockey and baseball.
Yes.
And I think it's a matter of like splitting hairs to figure out who has better, because
whatever.
it's different.
Well, because you do go, they have to field. See,
Right.
baseball players actually the eye-hand coordination of being a fielder,
Right.
being able to throw. Because you think about how easy it is to throw somebody a baseball or a football. Just throw it to you. But why is it that it's a lot harder than you'd think at how many poor throws in all sports, right? Poor passes. But you go, a third baseman who someone hits this little nubber, which is you always are expecting a rocket to shoot, but then you get this, and then you kind of have this like internal reaction, and then I'm sprinting at a ball the size of the head of this microphone, and they're capable of picking it up barehanded,
Right.
like leaning over, foot in the air, throwing it under, like unorthodox.
Right.
And while a guy has a really good 40, baseball players out of the box, they have to have a really good 40.
Not all of them, but a lot of them.
Yeah, but you got like you have Ortiz is like my life's not built on sprinting to first
There's a lot
base.
of them that don't.
Move on.
But
Cal Ripken.
He ran a 10.
Cal
So
Ripken.
Cal Ripken had good quickness, but not good speed.
Yeah. So that's another funny thing. He had this
Right.
quickness, but he wasn't
Right.
dead stop. You're like, I could beat you backwards probably. But so you look at that kind of stuff and you're like, who can do that?
So here's why. So I think we're honing in that, because I would agree with you. I think it takes more. I would say maybe it takes more athleticism to do that than it would to run down a basketball court
teach
and hit a three.
Yeah, or to teach someone how to kick a soccer ball.
Right. But what I would say is that I don't know if baseball players, I don't think explosiveness is unique to baseball players, because
No.
again, you
Football starts from the stop.
Football,
Yes.
so does basketball a lot of
Right,
the time.
yeah.
It's
So
a
imagine,
dead
like-
stop. You're playing and then
The
rebound, toss, and then
But you're running.
I think like the
okay.
technique of
So,
like
think
linemen
about-
from a
think
dead
like fast
stop.
break. That's a dead stop to a sprint in like 2 steps. You have to get there. You have to get full speed in like 2 or 3 steps.
Yes. So maybe explosiveness.
But what I'm saying is, then it seems like to your mind, and I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, that what makes a good athlete, but not what we might consider athleticism, is really high hand-eye coordination.
Really
I have a question
high-end
for you
coordination.
guys.
Hold on, let me back up and say
Or just
all those
coordination in general.
So explosiveness maybe is the wrong way to describe this. Is more so even the dead stop thing is.
No, but I think you're right though, because even like I think Steph Curry could be dead stop explosive, in the same way that like Mike Trout could be. But I don't know that again, I'm not saying the specifics, but I'm saying the skill of judging and gauging a center field, a fly ball, a line drive fly ball, like a line,
Yes,
is harder than a 3-point.
Well, even from a dead, because you go, football's a dead stop. It's not though. Here's why. Let me explain. Football goes hike, and then from there, everyone gets to go, and they have seconds, and they have a specific route. And here's what I'm getting at. Track with me here. Is whereas again, the dead stop, we don't know where the ball's even going to go at all, even if it's going to go, because and so. I guess this is what I'm saying is it's a higher level of intricacy.
Right.
It's far more difficult to sprint.
It's definitely more technical.
It's just when you get it, even a dead stop fast break is you go, okay, but now we're all running down and I
meant that moment from like
dead stop
from that way to that way.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is I'm not those are all difficult things to do. I think these are far more difficult, and so maybe it is their eye-hand coordination just
coordination in general.
Coordination in general, went down to footwork.
Yeah,
because a soccer player has better footwork than pretty much everybody, or like
the sport revolves around footwork.
Exactly,
though.
but then Kyrie's footwork's insane, but it's a different type of footwork.
Right.
But I would say if we're talking about just pure coordination, I think soccer is higher than we've been giving it credit for.
Don't even
wait. Real quick,
insane.
quick. I want to ask you guys this: do you think that pain tolerance has anything to do with athleticism?
I don't know about athleticism,
or not, but like
I would say longevity of career.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as like being in a sport, because like you see baseball players.
Phillip Rivers played a whole half with a torn ACL.
Yeah, it's saying.
Yeah, but guys play whole baseball seasons with broken thumbs.
But like, look at it this way: someone
everything.
Like a baseball player gets hit by a fastball, like that hurts. Like I'm sure that hurts. Or
when I was in Little League, just a side, just remember.
Yeah.
I was in Little League. I wasn't my game, but I was watching another game, and it was the third baseman. And this kid, he was like 6'2" at like 11, and he was playing
6'2", 11.
That's my dream.
Is that what you said?
No, at 11.
Oh, I thought you said he was 6'2", 11.
No,
6'13".
He looked like he'd been lifting weights since he was 5. He had a mustache. I don't know if the kid should have been playing this position, like in this league, but he just drills a line drive.
Did he have a son on the team?
Yeah. He drills the line drive, and it nails the third baseman right in the face. And then the third baseman just drops. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about necessarily, but like...
Okay, but let me finish real quick. And then you have football. You have someone like breaks their arm or leg, got a bone sticking out, and they're like, they're in pain, but they're like still coherent, like seeing people as they're being taken off the field. Basketball, somebody gets a cramp or like pulls a muscle or something, like it's the end of the world. And then you have hockey, where like a guy on the Red Wings got his like testicle like torn and it was hanging out, and he was actually back on the ice the next day with stitches in his nuts.
But did you know that there was a guy, and then, again, we're talking outliers here. Like there was a guy who played for the Giants in the Super Bowl who broke his pinky so bad that they said unless you get your finger amputated, you can't go back out. And so the trainer cut his finger off, they gauzed it, and he went back out and played.
Dude, see, that is crazy. I think that pain tolerance is a huge part.
So here, let me explain this. Let me explain.
So that's like an outlier situation.
Yeah, those are outlier situations, but I think that speaks to each sport, right? So I think that's a really good question, and here's why. There's everybody knows him. He's killing it right now. Justin Turner for the Dodgers. Oh yeah. He took a fastball in college, not
red.
Yeah, big red. He took a fastball, I believe, in college playing for the Titans, or in Fullerton, to the face, and it shattered his face. So there's in all the, I would imagine, to me, I go, I'm done. I'm not playing it.
I would say there may not be 3 scarier words in the English language than shatter your face.
Shatter your face. And face. Great doctors, looks good. But I just go, I don't want to go back up to bat. And I think that was, then he came back and won another national championship, and he's killing it in the MLB with the Dodgers. But pain tolerance is, we know football's built on the pride of being tough. But then so is every other sport except for basketball. and people underestimate soccer players.
Way more people play basketball hurt than you think they do.
No, they do. Yeah. They do, but I think
But I mean, not in the traumatic way that you guys are. Yes.
Like you have people.
But that's the point of football.
But if you play 80 games,
it's to hurt.
Right.
Well, kind of. It's part of the point. But it's like hockey. The point of hockey is not boxing.
Well,
it
depends on
but
who's
it's a
talking.
huge.
There's a lot of fights.
But if,
who's playing?
Yeah,
right.
but if you don't box, you're not playing hockey.
Right. Exactly.
So
yeah.
I think that you have most NHL players are missing multiple teeth, not because they eat a lot of Snickers.
Well,
right?
also
It's
in
because
the mouth with a puck. Too,
yeah.
So,
which is
insane.
I'm wearing a mask.
Yeah.
And so.
Fun fact, their dental plans don't actually kick in until after they retire.
So that's why they're all missing teeth?
That's why they're all missing teeth.
And a lot of them don't get it fixed. If they pay for it themselves, a lot of them don't get it fixed during the season. They wait till after season.
That's pride.
Well, also, why are you going to get it fixed and then get it knocked out the next game?
Yeah,
right.
but
I think they like it.
They do.
Yeah.
It's it's honor.
But also, like, it's
why? It's the why.
Practically.
But so you go. I think there are people probably in every sport that are just tougher. But you look at the grit and the toughness in multiple. You could go in multiple ways. You could say the energy it takes to finish a game.
Right.
The will, the grit. Kind of so toughness. Sometimes we simplify it and we go physically. How let me smack you in the face.
But then you get to like the 90th minute of soccer.
Because like soccer and basketball, like those last few minutes, you're dead.
Yes.
Your legs are done.
Jello.
But in football, it's to be able to get up after taking a stinger.
You have to have a concussion.
Yeah.
In baseball, it's to play the 160th game.
Yeah, or to play a 3-hour standing there is crazy.
I think baseball also over the long run is because Trout sits out like 4 games a year, and it's just like how do you play 155
with their
games?
travel schedule?
Right,
It wears
and not-
on you.
and not go
People don't
insane.
think
It's a
about
lot, and like we
and then
forget
hockey,
too.
it's the taking punches.
Yeah, we forget too that like
checks.
Yeah.
I guess stamina also like playing
That
through.
would be a good fifth one, stamina.
Well,
not just endurance, but stamina.
Even playing through like being tired can be considered pain endurance too.
Well, that's what I'm saying is mentally, it takes a very mentally tough guy to handle physical pain. Right?
Yeah.
So you don't just go, oh man, he's just an ox. He's an idiot. Like, no, these guys are smart. These guys.
Some of them. Gronk is not that smart.
But that's also why that's why football is only 16 games. Because even in 16 games, I saw it was a statistic that anybody that within starters in the NFL, the injury rate is 100%.
Yeah.
Everybody gets an injury.
You're right to your point about mental toughness. How do you go into a season knowing at some point you're going to have a severe enough injury that you won't be able to play the game that you like to play or make a living?
And that
that's insane.
Having like a torn ACL
it's
is like it's honestly like not that uncommon.
Yeah.
It's like guaranteed that you're going to have an injury that will take you keep you out.
You're gonna
of
have
your job.
surgery.
And
Like if I every time I went to a class, I knew I was gonna get hurt, and every semester I knew I was gonna get hurt, and I couldn't be in class anymore.
Just a really sharp pencil.
I'm gonna find a different job. I don't need this.
It's just I just don't have the mental toughness.
Yeah, I don't.
And
We're weak, Keith.
I just don't need to.
they know what they're getting into also when they.
But sitting in watching a stack of 100 papers and knowing I have to finish them in a week.
That's mental toughness.
That
is mental.
That's stamina right there.
The endurance. Yeah, I mean that's just there's so many. I think there's so many little nuances to every sport because you go. That's why it's only 16 games. Yes, that's why they can do 162 games because they're not flying into each other.
Right, it's not as physically demanding.
Every individual game is.
It's a different physical. It's different.
It's not as physically taxing.
Well,
taxing as in like the toll it takes on your body.
Would say
I mean, you'll
sure,
see
yes.
I was like science will show you that.
Yes,
but
yes.
So to that point, here's what I would say about that. That doesn't mean anything about athletics or athleticism.
Right.
Yes.
I could play left field in a Major League Baseball game, never get a ball hit to me, strike it every time. I'd be fine.
When I was
I
in
could not play an NFL game.
Exactly.
When I was in Little League, that's why they put me out there.
No, exactly.
But one off I could do. 162 of them, probably not. That's a lot. I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, their travel, but
Right.
I think to
'Cause
Kyle's
not every
point,
game is like that either.
to Kyle's point is yes, your entire body is getting beat to shreds every week, right?
Right.
Is your point? Yeah, and 100%. And we haven't even gotten into boxing, and then the demanding nature of golf.
Boxing was going to be my number 2 after gymnastics.
Well, I actually do like if we're gonna go non-major sports, we're gonna get into gymnastics. Like I said before, the decathlon,
which will be episode. This will be a follow-up episode, I think.
Right, no, but like boxing, like track and field, that kind of stuff.
Bowling.
Gymnastics,
'Cause
bowling.
when you get into the more specific sports like bowling and golf and boxing, like those are a more like a different set of skills. It's a different set of muscles.
It's
different-
gymnastics. It's
boxers
gymnastics,
have a
period,
good
if we're getting
hand-eye.
into that.
Yeah.
Boxers.
I'm telling you, the decathlon. Literally, if you win the decathlon in the Olympics, you're considered the
Greek god.
the great
today.
Most athletic, or like I forget what it's called, like the greatest athlete in the world. Like you, that's literally one of the titles you get because it requires all of the major
They should have
athleticisms. No, but it requires all the major parts of athleticism.
Yes,
That's
I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
These,
but it's still we can still.
they break it down into
Like you have to be good at a lot of different things, but not the best.
Well,
at everything.
it's 10 different.
It's 10 exactly.
It's 10 different
disciplines and
yeah.
technicalities and all that. So
I feel like that all happens in gymnastics.
Well,
I mean, maybe.
Well,
I'm not disagreeing
it
with you. I'm
depends.
just saying, like,
It depends what you do, right? Because
yeah.
not all the gymnasts do every.
No, not all of them do every.
I feel like in any event in gymnastics.
So like
I'd like to see you do the floor
like the
routine.
all-
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
I would say maybe the all-around champion against the decathlete would probably be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But that's a whole separate
Or
discussion.
That's why you just can't really get too into the
Right.
outliers.
I would even pin it down to if I had to pick an event.
the pommel horse.
No.
Rings.
Uneven bars.
I think rings are for men. Rings are harder. If you've seen you have to hold your whole weight up by your shoulders.
They fly from one bar to another and then back.
That's
Keith.
Right, no, you're right. It's just, but they don't do the rings. Women don't do the rings, and men don't do uneven. So
Sure.
no, they don't.
I know. I think
So I
that's.
think that's interesting.
And you know what's interesting too is when you start getting into the different conversations with this is they call them, I think, ultra marathons.
Oh,
the
gosh.
100 women
That's
always
insane.
outperform
Yeah.
men because of the way their bodies are
Right,
designed,
because
which
they
is
have-
just
yeah.
incredible right
That's why
there.
they give birth, not us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a real thing.
No,
that's also for another episode.
I agree.
That is a real thing.
Yeah. No, I know that it's a real thing that they
you
give
guys-
birth.
I think it's a real
I have two guys who
Whoa,
recently
guys!
like.
I've seen
went through
Baby
that.
Boss. That's not how
Yes.
it
Just
happens.
so you know that my wife is way stronger than I am and way more mentally tough than I
You
am.
scored some points.
You are.
But she is for sure. It's insane.
100
Keep racking them up, dude.
before.
What?
Hey, before Nora came.
No, I'm saying like if
It's pretty impressive.
if I didn't have any evidence before, I for sure have it now.
100.
Yeah.
There's no way.
There's no way.
Absolutely not. But I think the next conversation is when you look at these the tennis players of the
Yeah.
world, the boxers
Yeah,
of the
'cause that's
world,
interesting.
the MMA fighters of the world, the golfer. I think you said golf, right? And but even bowling is. I would even argue
Bowling's a lot
there's a
harder
good. See, the problem is I'm not going to talk about bowling and boxing.
We're not together. No.
No,
You
so-
gotta go. You gotta go skill. Like you gotta go like skill specific, like bowling, golf, and like maybe tennis. Although tennis.
Yeah, because
is
I
harder.
don't assume that a boxer
And,
can
like-
field a ground ball or catch a pass
No.
necessarily. But boxing is a science, I think, and
It's
so I
also
think
a mental game. It's-
I mean, what is it? What do they call it? The sweet science. So I think those types of things are very.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of funny if you think about it, because you laugh when you think about like boxing and bowling, and you go like this. You go, of course, a bowler gets in a boxing ring and they're gonna get trashed. You go, but put Floyd Mayweather up against a professional bowler, he's
Yeah.
gonna get trashed.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
only
that's
the
tough.
only chance he has of winning is his mouth.
Or
Like, that's-
and it, like,
getting in his head.
Yeah, like luck, like him rolling granny style
Yes.
and getting a strike every
Yeah,
time.
so then
Like,
you know what we can't talk about, because what we're really talking about is science.
It's strategy.
It is you versus this other person in a very weird way. I mean, tennis, you are across your opponent. Boxing, you're across your opponent. MMA, but golfers are psychotic.
Oh my gosh.
The mental. They talk to themselves like these people talk to
Is that a
themselves.
joke about Tiger Woods?
If you want it to be.
yeah, that's fine.
You know what else we could talk about? I think it'd be really interesting. who are the best coaches? Like which sport takes
Who is
the most strategy?
Or what sport needs a coach the most?
Right. Yeah.
Because I feel like baseball doesn't need one.
Yeah. Not necessarily. I think you're right. Also, why do baseball managers wear the uniform? I know this is a hack.
Dude, Brian Regan talks about that.
I know he does. I know it's like comics have talked about it, but I still think it's the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah, but I think the only reason, outside of the fact that I agree, is it's the only sport that slightly makes sense.
To wear, yeah. I mean,
Because think about it. If you go an NFL coach wearing pants and or a hockey coach, he's in there, but he has a stick.
They talked about that. A hockey coach in all goalie gear.
but like, I mean, it'd be really funny to see Greg Popovich in a Spurs uniform on the side of the.
I wonder. Okay, here's just a thought, and I think we got to wrap it up. But is maybe at one time in the game of baseball, the manager actually played.
Manager, yeah, probably.
And I don't think that was true about even soccer. I mean, there's a whole culture around European soccer. I mean, you're wearing Prada, man.
Yeah.
Then those guys make.
If there's anybody that needs to wear a jersey on the field that's not actually in the game, it's cheerleaders in football. They get decked so hard sometimes. It's ridiculous.
Take it out.
The coaching.
They don't wear enough, Josh.
The coaching, I think, is going to be an easy argument, but we can save that for another time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
I'm done.
Ryan, did you have anything to contribute? No?
No.
All right.
We'll edit something in right there from another episode.
From one of his sermons. Amen. Just have Ryan pray us out.
Brink here from Super BS, talking about the things you know you love and the things you'd love to know. Join us weekly for a podcast about video games. Mostly. Oh, yeah.
That's to us people that can feel things, it hurts.